Oh yeah, I'm just playing around. Opening.
Hey, girl. Okay. Awesome.
Guys, it is 10 o'clock. It's 10:01, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started. So we are very respectful of your time this morning. Number one, thank you all for coming, even though I threatened you with tacos. So, hey, I appreciate you guys coming, but it's like this every week, okay? Just so y'all kind of know, this Taco Cabana cost us like $55 the brokerage provided for us. When Highland Homes comes, they send me the invoice and it's $560 for them to bring breakfast. So please come to these meetings and eat the food that the vendors are providing. Some of them are spending $200, $300, $400, and $500 on us. And so I want to give them our attention. We want to give them some of our business. In most cases, we all like Highland Homes, I think. I don't think we have a problem. Now, Lennar came in, that might be different, but we'll talk about that another time. That was a joke.
Oh. You're paying the 2% on the other side.
Okay, let's go ahead and hit some announcements this morning. If this will work, I'm gonna have to do it over here, looks like. It does that way. Okay, next week we have Liz Deegan and McKnight Title. I sent out something in Slack that I started doing some calendar dates for the summer. We are going to do a title commitment class in August. I've got that booked. But we have a lot of vendors coming. I still have 3 open slots for the summer. If you want somebody to come, Danielle, your mom, I need to know it pretty quick because we've got like, I think 2 slots.
Will cut the one I put on there.
Okay, we got 2 slots open. The first ones that book, they get them. So email me or email the person and copy me the 6 tab email. And let's get those booked. And then I will start booking the fall series probably in July when I get back from vacation. Agent training now available. I want to stress this. This is not just for brand new agents. I went through it, skimmed through it. There is a lot of great information in there. This lady has a lot of experience. She's ran 3 brokerages, built 3 brokerages. She's very, very good. She's very good at talking. I was a little uncomfortable at points because she's just standing in front of a camera talking and she looks down and she coughs, and it's not slick like Buffini. This is just somebody talking to you, telling you how to do this job. Things to think about. It's great training. I highly recommend that you skim through it at least. Maybe you find one of the topics on the left-hand side that you would like to have somebody talk to you about. Please go use this training. This is provided from 6th Ave to you. We pay for it monthly. So please go look at that training. New business card templates are on Canva. You can click the link in my follow-up today to find that. We also have new email signatures that are almost finished that I'm going to be providing to you, where you can change your email signature. Those are in final touch-ups right now. I'll have those out hopefully by next week. Waiting on Hannah, our graphic designer, and Jamie to finalize all the logos and everything on those. So those will be coming up. If you haven't updated your IABS, it needs to be updated on your socials and in your email signature. It needs to be the one that says 2/10/2025. Property tax notices did go out to a lot of people. Remember, in Tarrant County, it's every 2 years now. So half your people probably won't get them. I got mine and it went up. So I've enlisted Yale Benson and Company, and they automatically, I've already submitted a claim for me or a protest. It's automated once people sign up for this. I love how y'all shared this on your socials this week. Great idea. Take this flyer and share it. Anybody that wants to use it, they can use this. The code is 6th Ave. Saves them. It's the same thing that Onwell's doing. If they save you money, you pay 25% of what they save you. It's the same thing.
Right.
This
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, this one just gives, this is the discount. And so they partnered with us instead of marketing to everyone on TV and radio and everything else. So, and I've got a personal relationship at this point. Well, it's an email relationship with the owner of this company. He emails me and I'm emailing that. So want to use them if we get the chance. We're going to hit 2 core values this morning, and then I want to have a special guest talk about one of the core values. Number 1, we relentlessly pursue simplicity and clarity by managing expectations well. Being clear is kind. We believe we serve our clients well when we remove confusion and keep the process simple and stress-free. Stress, tension, and conflict is often avoided by simply managing expectations. Clients should never be caught wondering what's going to happen next. We are clear and honest with our team and clients and are not afraid to be open about bad news or have hard conversations. Additionally, we encourage our team to internally pursue simplicity and clarity so that they focus on the right priorities and goals. Now, you guys, we have never hit this core value, this next one, because I didn't even know that Jamie had finished writing it. But here is a lack of communication is a lack of performance. You have not seen this.
I like that.
People say, well, I did my job. I just didn't communicate well. But we say, well, your communication is part of your performance. It doesn't matter how well you think you did on this task. If you failed to communicate it while it was being done and failed to close the loop that it was done, who you're accountable to is a failure of performance. Not a failure of communication as a secondary category. It's an integral part of the project itself. We expect people to close the loop on communication. If I delegate or ask you to do a task, I expect you to communicate it's done. So I don't have to chase it down and say, did you do this? It's okay to say, I got this, but I won't be able to give you an answer for 5 days. The goal is not to avoid failure, but the goal is to avoid silent failure. The communication failure will generally cause stress for the other. And so I'm going to ask one of our wonderful agents to speak into this exact core value. A lack of communication is a lack of performance. And Ms. Maria, would you like to take the floor? Come on over here so people can see you on camera. You can just stand over by Tasha. I think you can see. Go stand by Amanda. Yeah, go stand by Amanda. That way people can see you on camera and they know who it is talking. There you go, right there. That's it.
So I went to Mexico and I had 3 clients under contract. One that the closing had already been pushed because of documentation. Well, we were supposed to close on Monday.
Last Monday.
Yes, this last Monday. And Ken, or Agent A, Friday I did the excursion, so I was in the middle of the ocean, so I had no service. And so as soon as I got back to land, I had service, so all the messages and calls were coming through. Well, I called him back, and as soon as he answers, he didn't know. He did know that I was out of town. I just didn't tell him that I was out of the country and I wasn't going to have any type of service. So when I called him back, he was upset because 1, he didn't know where I was at. 2, the lender had told him that we were going to have to extend closing because we were supposed to close that Friday. That's what it was. Supposed to close that Friday. It didn't happen. We were going to have to push it to Monday, maybe potentially Wednesday. So my people then, to add to that, they were already in the property. So it was a lease. Ooh. So
The agent.
Yes, was upset because he didn't hear from me at all until I got to it. So he didn't know what was going on. And so, yes, it was lack of, and I was out of the country and stayed. Well, and he tried also calling me through my voicemail, but my voicemail was full. So.
And so what that led to was an hour-long phone call for Brian at 9 o'clock on Friday night. Of somebody yelling and cussing at me.
Oh, well, that always helps the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Maria and I, obviously, if I text you guys, you text me back. If you text me, I usually text you back.
Right.
But what we could have done better is
tell him that I was in Mexico and I would be out of the park. Yes.
over communication solves so many problems. Just tell the other agent exactly what's going on. Tell them what to expect. That's what the first core value was. Set expectations. Hey, I'm going to be on a boat for all day long today. I promise I will text you back as soon as I hit land if there's anything that I need to know. If I don't have anything, I'll still text you back and say, hey, nothing's changed, but here's what the lender said last, and this is what's going to happen. Over communicate solves so many problems that we have as agents. And I just wanted Maria, thank you, Maria, for sharing your story with us. number one. But and you weren't in trouble at all. I mean, you and I texted that night at 10 o'clock and we were fine. I'm fine with defending you guys, 100%. Jimmy is 100% okay with defending you guys. We'll go to the mat for you, I promise. But if you just over communicate and let these people know what's going on, everything will be much better. Yes, ma'am.
Can I just add to that though, but also feel like you can reach out to somebody else and we're happy to help. So you can have a few days too.
Yeah.
To be that extra person for you. Stay afraid to ask.
Yeah. I kind of sort of did, but it didn't matter at that time. Because even if I would have, because I typically talk to Ray, Ken was already, one, because the lease back was the issue. My people are already in the property. And so that wasn't extended. And so even if Ray would have probably talked to him, Ken was just, because he's been in the business for 23 years. And
Well,
It was-
yeah.
it was just
He was very upset. He kind of got bent and told me he had been in the business since 1982 and I'm going to put his license up, and he got it in 2013. And then,
business does not end,
and then he's more experienced than Maria, and Maria closed in 10 to 1. So anyway, it was a long night for Brian that almost caused a divorce because we were on date night that night. On Friday.
You should have had him on call me.
It's just got this. Like, how you can.
Jimmy
I'll
said,
be there in a minute.
Jimmy said, pass them on to me. And I was like, well, no, that wasn't really the point of it. The point of it was he wanted to yell at the road. He
I'll roll
wanted to
up.
yell at the
There's a
road.
few of us in this room that are
I
just
mean, we're
waiting
fine.
for someone to get
I've got
ready.
some hustle things I
We're
need to
just
take out.
waiting.
We can hit more of these when we get to wins and lessons and mistakes and shout outs in a few minutes. We'll go back to that. Let's hit the market update real quick because we do have some information. Sales of new single family homes unexpectedly shot up 7.4% in March and are now up 6% from a year ago. Why?
DR Horton.
Why?
Yeah.
Incentives. They are incentivizing all of their buyers by lowering the rate and paying that difference for them.
They're
That's why
literally
they shot
paying
up.
for them to get in.
They are. Good news for buyers, the median sales price is down 7.5% the past year and 12% below its October 2022 peak. Existing home sales, however, fell 5.9% in March, down 2.4% from a year ago. Sales at 500 or better are above or up the past year, while sales of homes below that are flat or falling. Annual home price growth came in at 2.7. That's a national stat. That's not a local stat. We're killing what we did last year. We're 12 closings ahead of where we were this time last year. And last year was the best year 6 that I've ever had. We're doing fine locally. That's a national stat. Okay. Zillow reports inventory is steadily rising, tracking closely normal seasonal trends. In March, sellers put more than 375,000 homes on the market, up 19% from a year ago, pushing inventory to the highest level since 2020. While the president's saying he has no intention of firing the Fed Chair Powell and indicating he won't play hardball with China, traders breathed a sigh of relief, sent 3 major stock indices to big weekly gains. Leading indicators were off for March, same as the existing home sales covered above. New home sales surprised to the upside and durable goods orders show up pick up in business in March. Jobless claims continue to run nowhere near recession levels, and the corporate earnings season is off to a solid start, as 75% of reporting companies came in with earnings above estimates. Imagine that if you've been to the grocery store. Okay, Freddie Mac's primary mortgage market survey reported the national average 30-year fixed mortgage rate decreased, staying well below its year-ago level. We'll talk about that in a minute. This week, pending home sales, home prices, construction spending, inflation, and jobs. The pending home sales measure of signed contracts on existing homes is forecast to edge down in March, which March was down. Just so y'all know, March is honestly, you would think it would be really, really strong for everybody, but it's usually not. It's usually one of the slower months. It is the slowest month of the first quarter for us. That's just normal. It's okay. Another analysts predict another uptick in construction spending for March. We'll check the residential part. They see inflation waning by March PCE prices, and the labor market still healthy with an increase in non-farm payrolls and the unemployment rate. Here's last week's Federal Reserve watch. It hasn't changed very much. In fact, the consensus for a cut in June is actually went down another 5%. It was at 69. What I'm looking at is this number right here, June 69%, June 64.5%. So analysts are saying we're probably going to stay pretty steady, which is fine. It really kind of solidifies the market. If everybody's used to paying 6.5 to 7.25% interest, okay, great. Let's just stay there. Let's just keep running. Let's keep running.
And we still have room to negotiate.
We do. That's that fantastic point.
What's your
So, okay, let's look here. This is, I forgot to change this number. That bottom thing should say 6 weeks ago, we were at 6.81%. Last week, we went to 6.98. This week, we're back where we were 6 weeks ago. We're back at 6.81 for the 30-year fixed. 30-year FHA is down at 6.2, 6.19. So the rates are there. I mean, 6.19 for an FHA 30-year, that's a great deal. Great deal. So keep that in mind as you're out with your clients. Business tip: people trust and do business with people they like. Look for shared experiences and for ways to be relatable, collaborative, and encouraging. Create a sense of partnership and you'll close more deals. Exactly what we were saying with communication. If you start the conversation off with another agent of, hey, we're all going to pull together like a tug of war to get these buyers and these sellers across the finish line. Let's do this together. You start with that attitude, you go so much further. So much further. And if somebody comes at you rashly, you've got to convert them quickly. Feed their ego, talk to them, over communicate, get them on your side, and get them pulling the same way as you. It's a trick.
I feel like a lot of agents are super emotional
Right now.
They are.
It doesn't bother me. Like I can de-escalate that pretty quick, but yeah, they're kind of like out of sorts.
Yeah, very out of sorts.
Well, and I'm dealing with agents on my listings and stuff that they still don't understand paragraph 12 and paragraph 5.
Oh my God.
It's just, it's unreal that people are not training on this. But that's what we do here at 6 Ave is we come to this meeting and everybody here knows what paragraph 12 is and how to use it. I almost promise you. Now, do we still see mistakes? Yeah, they happen. You put something into a template and it goes automatically. Sure, that happens. But we're seeing very much less and less mistakes on paragraph 12 and paragraph 5 of the listing agreement. So thank you all for paying attention. Did you know a national online database reports 44.4% of January to March home sales included sellers' concessions, such as money for repairs, closing costs, mortgage rate buy-downs. That figure was 39.9% a year ago, so 5% higher. Concessions are just exactly what Taja said 3 minutes ago. There's more room to play. There's more things that you can do for your buyers and more things that you need to prepare your sellers for because it's kind of common. Let's be talking about that up front. Communication with your sellers is more important than with the other agent. Telling them what to expect, what's next, how is this going to go? Here's the 3 things that I think is going to happen. You know, we're going to submit this amendment for repairs, and we're going to ask for $2,500 in concessions, but I guarantee you the seller's going to counter us at $1,000. Set that expectation up front.
I wish 2,500 was all they asked for.
That's easy.
Okay. This is from NAR, and I'm going to run through these slides, not quickly, but fairly quickly. There's 2 directions for home sales amid economic turmoil. Consumer anxiety could freeze the housing market or encourage buyers and sellers to act if they expect things to get worse. So there's 2 mindsets there. Uncertainty is continuing to play a role in the spring housing market through an uptick in mortgage applications such buyers are out there. Watch the showing numbers, watch the fish finders on Showing Time and Broker Bay, the showing insights. Watch those things. If you don't subscribe to that $15 Showing Time a month thing where you can see the market reports, highly encourage it. $15 a month so you can see all of the showing data, and then you can pull out of MLS which houses in your comps were Showing Time, which ones were Broker Bay, and then you can show the stats for those houses. You
I
can
also
show them.
think it's really worth, maybe not right this second, but if you were to show everybody what you and I talked about with how you set up the search in your MLS for your clients, that to me was amazing. Like it was, and I forget if I was telling about it. I'm like, what? So just something that if people
How to show them Broker Bay and Showing Time?
not that, no, remember, it's like, I forget what it's called. You set up, it's not a cart, it's a saved search. The saved search for your listings.
Oh, the cart, that's a
A
cart.
cart. Okay, so
Yeah.
then maybe it is a cart, but whatever it was, it's just a great way to keep
Okay.
Your finger on the pulse with your deals so that you can say, oh, well, actually, hey, this did. My thing is I always forget what comps I've used. And I forget what I used. And so this keeps it all in real time.
If y'all want to stick around at 11 o'clock, I'll be glad to show you that.
But I think it'd be something really worth talking about.
I'll be glad to show y'all how
So
to do
you have
that.
the same info week to week to share.
And then what it does is
it
it updates. So if it was active and then it goes under contract, or it goes back on the market, it shows, it keeps it all in real time.
Yeah.
Where I've previously
I've been using that too. I
it's
thought it was
really, really
Okay.
good.
While inflation and weekly mortgage rates fell, the inflation data doesn't account for the April 2nd tariff announcements, and daily rates have been volatile, hitting 7% this week. What happens next with tariff policies could affect rates, Fed actions, and increasingly consumer behavior. The March Consumer Price Index provided some good news about inflation, coming in below expectations at 2.4%, and headline consumer prices ticked down for the first time in nearly 3 years. Mortgage rates also fell slightly, averaging 6.62, but that weekly average masked the volatility of the past 2 days when a bond sell-off caused mortgage rates to surge. Prices hit 7% on the 9th, according to Mortgage Days News Daily, prior to the announcement of the 9-day pause on the tariffs for some countries. And as of April the 10th, the rate was at 6.92, but now we've seen that's back down again. Economic moving targets, including wild swings in the stock market, are putting consumers at a tough spot. It's likely that financial anxiety, rapidly changing economic news, and the rising chance of recession freeze the housing market, Redfin's economist research team. It's also possible that economic turmoil pushes down mortgage rates, and our people decide to bite the bullet now instead of waiting for conditions to perhaps worsen, encouraging home buyers and sellers to jump into the market. There are signs that some consumers are moving ahead with home purchases. Mortgage applications jumped 20% during the week ending April 4th, when rates briefly fell to the lowest level since October. Both finance and purchase loans rose, adjusted purchase price index up 10% compared to a week earlier, up 24% from a year ago. These mortgage applicants may also be taking advantage of an increase in new listings, which were up 10% compared to a year ago, according to Redfin. Now, we're going to go back and visit open houses because what we just talked about in market conditions plays into open houses. And I've got new data for open houses for you. It might seem counterintuitive to predict that the decades-old practice of open houses will grow in popularity in this digital age, but agents should expect just that due to a number of factors that transcend technology-driven changes in property marketing. During the Great Recession, brokerages often de-emphasized and eschewed the practice. Demand was low, open houses were poorly attended, and they seldom resulted in the hosting agent selling the property. We often advise sellers that online listings and virtual tours, their home was essentially open 24/7. That changed when the market recovered and an open house was viewed as a more efficient way to accommodate higher demand. Took some pressure off busy buyer agents and widened the path for buyers. When the market started to heat up in 2020, open houses became the de facto emblem of the new reality. Most agents seem to consider an open house to be more of an obligatory optic to satisfy the seller than an essential practice. The change we are observing after the Sitzer-Burnett case, which is the NAR settlement, is that an open house is now the last bastion for a consumer to tour a home without having to sign an agent agreement. Before the settlement, connecting with agents was a hassle to some, but seldom required a commitment. Now a consumer who doesn't yet have a buyer agent is faced with an all or nothing menu. So if you market this right, if you publicize it right, is you don't need to have an agent to come see my open house. Y'all can come. It's okay. I'm going to be here. That's how you're going to have to portray this. It's worth mentioning that while virtually everyone who has plans to move the next year also plans to engage a realtor, few members of the public are ready to hire one. Most people don't have the bandwidth to commit to an agent while they're in the early stages of studying the market, window shopping, browsing, and matching their plans with market conditions. That factored into how we as a body of licensees engaged buyers. Decades, agents worked on contingency. Buyer agency changed in some respects, but in many markets, few buyer agents asked for exclusive representation agreements. Working with a buyer agent was persuasive. Hiring an exclusive buyer agent was relatively rare. It's nationwide. And that brings us back to open houses. Until both potential buyers are ready to commit, open houses are now the only way they can see a property without having to sit with an agent they just met and sign their name multiple times. This guy's bold prediction is, even when the market does eventually cool off, open houses will still grow in popularity because they fill a need that didn't exist before the NAR settlement. Wise agents should do all they can to become open house specialists. A well-executed open house involves far more than a sole agent with a clipboard and a sign-in sheet. I've seen events where multiple agents host and help manage foot traffic as an on-site mortgage loan officer offers free pre-qualifications. Consumers are already learning to expect that while they don't have to hire an agent to see a property, they still have to provide some personal information on site. For many, that's a small price to pay to tour a home without committing to an agent. Just one guy's take on this, but I thought it was so, because we've been talking about open houses and we have lots of listings that have the ability to have an open house. Last week we talked about, I think it was Jimmy that said he would hold the house off the market for 7 days before they would put it on the market.
Jamie, yeah. Jamie did.
Jamie did?
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant. I think that's, and I almost did that this week and then decided against it at the last minute. Thank goodness, because I got 4 offers in 2 days. But it's something worth considering. It's also worth considering getting with other agents in a neighborhood and saying, hey, I'm going to do an open house this weekend or next weekend or whenever it is. Could you guys get somebody to do an open house so that we could like publicize all of them together?
I will testimony on that, actually.
I'll let you get to that in just a second. I'm going to hit this last part and then we'll go right back to you. So hold your thought.
I will.
Concentrate.
Hard to do.
Concentrate. Okay, looking ahead, the NAR settlement may shift how buyers engage open houses, an increase in the 50% of buyers attending open houses, rising the average number of open houses attended per buyer, which is currently 2.6, and a potential increase in the percentages of homes sold where an open house played a role. Jenna.
Well, I was talking with my seller in Mansfield, and we've been on the market quite a while. I can't remember how long, between 45 days, somewhere around in there, and just not getting anything. And another house that was very, very similar to it, a little bit smaller, catty corner on another corner, was listed 20,000 below ours. And it just didn't make sense to go that low for us. We had a media room, we had extra square footage, stuff like that. So we held on our price. But I called him and I said, hey, I feel like we need to do another open house. There's an agent, the Keller Williams agent that's got that listing back there is doing one this Sunday. I don't normally work on Sunday, but I was like, I need to piggyback that because she signs it up really big and does a good job. And so I got my signs out first on Sunday morning. She put
Her husband was helping her, by the way, because she was on the phone helping me, so.
But anyway, got all my signs out and everything and ended up selling the house that day.
Oh, wow.
They went to both and I knew ours would show better because just the feedback that I've had.
Yeah.
And so we piggybacked on it and I got my buyer. And so, and it was just like everything inside me is like, nope, I don't work on Sundays. Keep that sacred. But I was like, no, I got to do this. I just knew in my heart that I needed to do that for my seller. So the open houses are working. And we wouldn't have the contract right now if I wouldn't have held it open. And that doesn't happen every time. But you don't know what's going to happen.
It happens once a year. It's worth your time.
Yeah.
You know, that's like in the fall, when we had Danielle, me, I guess I don't know, there was like 3 or 4 6-app listings that were like in the Burleson Joshua area.
Yeah.
And we did like the 6-app parade of homes.
Mhm.
I mean, it seems kind of silly, but that's excellent content that everybody can pick up and distribute.
Exactly. And you're also making the Google algorithm work harder because you're both posting the same stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like this open house content is great social media
Yeah.
content to just talk about how this is an ideal way to take the edge off and create have a casual experience touring homes.
Right.
You know, if you want
Holly
to
did
know
a good post about that she sent me the caption on, just like, I think it said something along the lines of, while an open house may not sell your home, here's everything else
why
that
it's good.
it does
Mhm.
for you. And then, yeah, I mean,
exposure is the name of the game.
Well,
Absolutely.
It's a
and I
big game.
I think with an increased inventory, you definitely need to be watching what your active comps are doing around your listings and one-upping them
Mhm.
to get attention.
I think so too, being compelling, but also there's a number of showings that you have to have before you're going to get an offer.
Right.
So you've got to go through the no's to get to the yeses. And and that's a conversation you can have with your seller that just more strengthens your position of exposing it. That's what we gotta do. We gotta go through the no's to get the yeses. And even though we saw 5 come through today, and they maybe were interested, maybe we're looky-loos, those are part of our numbers game.
Mhm.
And we're getting closer to our buyer. It gives them hope.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jimmy. Have you met Jimmy?
Hey, I was gonna see if you could post those email templates. Did you see from Jamin?
The email signature?
Signatures, yes.
Yes.
Signatures.
I
I'm
can
gonna
do.
get y'all's feedback really quick on, hey, Ray. It's gonna get y'all's, feedback real quick on the email signatures. Which ones do you like best? Quick vote. Yeah, you don't have to use these obviously, but so we didn't have like a concise email signature across the board. So I was like, we need that. Also, side note, if you want, I think one other option is we're gonna put just a headshot in the circle of here and then put 679 homes like right here. Because whenever you're doing, especially like email templates or email, news blasts, like a face on a signature is like 60-80% more opens more clickable. I don't know, something like that. It's like crazy. But anyways, all right, get on to the bottom. For pulling on the door, instruction. I'm sorry. Keep going. All right, these are the 3. So you have real estate brokerage, just real estate, and then the last one, Brian, has real estate brokerage, kind of more of a circle. Any hard, strong opinions?
I like the middle one.
I like the middle.
I like the middle one, but I like the picture idea.
I definitely need a picture on there.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I
These
like-
aren't business cards again. We're just
Yeah.
sitting in those signatures.
So you would just put your picture off to the left of that probably.
Are they
something, right?
It'd be like.
We're gonna put them in
right
Canva.
here. It'd be like right
So
here.
you can copy it.
And then it'd be, but my main question is, do you guys like real estate brokerage or just real estate?
No,
Real
Okay.
estate.
All right, cool. That was one question.
Personally, I would rather have that circle instead of saying real estate brokerage. I would rather the 6 staff homes just be spaced out around the 6 A. And not even say real estate brokerage.
But like for a picture?
Like 6 staff homes.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
That's my opinion.
So could that middle one,
Yeah.
it could be editable.
Editable.
Where you would put your picture in place of the.
Yeah, we give you a template.
Yeah.
Like, it would just be a
Yeah,
face
I like
picture kind of thing. I just want like a general theme colors, like middle side is kind of the winner. In general, anybody else?
Well,
It's all the 1, 2, or 3.
Right, do you scroll
One is
down?
the blue one?
Scroll down, because no, that's not
So-
one, that's
so down.
construction, go up.
Okay, so
Right
there,
there.
so there's 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I like 3 too.
I like 3.
2 and 3?
2 and 3.
2 and 3 are my favorite.
We'll give you, basically I want to like get a direction and then we'll give 2 or 3 options for each one.
I like
So you can just go, yeah, I'll just grab this one.
Yeah.
And so that'll kind of how it's gonna
Okay,
be.
the only question I have is, since these are gonna be JPEGs or PNF, whatever, they're gonna be like embedded into the, so you can't click it and call, right?
That is
my-
I want it to be
that.
clickable links.
Yeah.
You can make a link on your signature. You can create a link from your picture.
And here's another thing you can do too.
Yeah, you can do that. We can do that.
You can in Canva create a GIF that flips between the logo and the picture.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so it's moving.
Class on email signature.
Yeah, but it's on my list of things to
I was just talking more about like,
Yeah.
I want my phone number not in a picture because I want somebody on their phone to be able to go to my signature.
yeah.
line, take my phone number,
Yes.
right?
Or website,
I
any of
think you can
those.
embed
Oh, you
A
can?
call feature into that.
Oh, okay, that's what I need.
Because
I do to get that.
every time I call out of company, I can't click on
Yes.
the thing from the email, it makes me
Oh,
mad.
my God.
I have to like remember it.
And
You
that's
do
not-
need
Yeah, no, I don't.
I need like an 18-year-old that wants to
Click on
drive
the
around.
thing
I
and
want
do
to
call.
I want one of those logos where, like, if you took, let's just take that last logo there, the 6A, where, like what you're talking about, and it put like my picture or my logo and the 6A logo, and it flip and make it into a sticker that I can put on my freaking stories.
How do you do that?
Okay,
Okay,
that's gonna be our project.
So we have
They try to-
stickers.
I
There's
still
a
don't do that.
there's a handful of them. I don't know, somebody on Storytelling knows how to do it.
But I watched the Instagram video on how to do it and I saved it. Like it's in there. It's in there.
You can even make like your own gifts of like you. I have I follow her on Facebook that she made all her own gifts. Or not gifts, but they're like her, yeah, like her embeddable. And
Can we do that this summer or fall? Have a class on this type of stuff?
Yeah. definitely.
Seriously,
Uh,
because I think we all want it and need it, and I don't know how, I'm not techie.
You can also do it with like, you know how you have your little logo on Google and it's got just your picture? That can be one that flips.
Yeah, I need to know all this.
It's just a GIF.
I need to
You
know.
know, but-
I know, that's what I'm saying. If I could have somebody just walk through it and show us how to do it, I could do it, but I just don't know how to do it.
Okay.
In Canva.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You create a little video.
Some I don't get done too.
I'm like, I just don't know how to do it.
Okay. I just need to get feedback, so this is perfect.
You got more than you have.
No, this is great. You just gave me like 5 ideas, so I'm like, okay, cool. This is like, let's go.
Oh, we
So-
need some 6 GIFs anyways, like we'll put on my stories.
Yeah.
So this is the benefit of 6 out. The brokerage serves you, right? And so it's like, what do you need? What do you want? What do you like? Okay, we'll just give it to you. Like, this is the benefit. This is like our little, just a reminder. Most brokerages won't do this. They'll be like, here's what you got. We'll be like, I don't know, here's a starting spot. Give us the feedback. You want a sticker? You want a thing that circles around, whatever? I'm like, I don't know how to do it. I'm like, that's cool. That's cool. I'll find someone. We'll hire someone to do it. Okay, last one was sticker.
Look at
Yeah.
sticker.
Oh, here it comes.
It's cool, isn't
Looks-
it?
Yeah, I want them to
Because that way, like, sometimes you
Logo.
like all it needs is something that's moving.
Yeah, it attracts their attention.
Right.
Does.
Yeah,
Have
it's
a
more,
picture
yeah,
behind
give
it
more
with the
interaction.
with the title, and you just need your little.
Okay, so first of the month or end of the month. I mean, what do we?
End of the month.
End of the month. Yeah, usually first. I mean, we kind of alternate. It's the 30th. Yeah, end of the month meeting. We like to do wins, lessons. Highlights, personal wins, and just go around the room and share a little bit. But this time, I always do like a little tweak to this every time. This time, I wanted to do like a combo approach. So, what is like one lesson that you learned that you turned into a win? So, or a mistake that you made that still turned into a win. So, I really I forgot to communicate, and so therefore, but I still closed because whatever, Brian almost got it. I don't know, whatever. It's like it still turned into a
Brian
win.
got his butt chewed.
Yeah, I
We
think
still closed. Did you close yesterday? I'm sorry?
So it's closing
That's awesome.
12 California time.
Today. Okay.
Yeah. So what's one mistake that's just in the past month? Not like ever, but just in the past month. I feel like this last month, just from talking with you individually and then hearing from Brian and then just kind of like I get to hear a lot of stuff. Even if you guys don't interact with me personally, that I just feel like a bunch of deals are just like crazy chaos. Guys, my perspective, every single person goes, yeah, that was really funny. I wish I had a video of that. So yeah, again, if it's like, let's do a caveat. If it's just an idiot agent, or it's like a personal thing where you just are mad or they're mad at you, let's just cut those out because it doesn't, we're gonna deal with that all the time. So maybe like, what's one mistake or a thing that you messed up on royally that you gotta have a little bit of humility and just go, man, I didn't know this. I didn't know how to do this thing, but figured it out. Here's what I learned. So mistake, mess up, so I didn't know, learned it, and at the end of the day, we closed the deal. So anybody got a story like that? Okay, Jen, you get the first one. Let's go.
So, it was about
2 weeks ago. They coached me through it. I was at my son's baseball tournament in Caddo Mills, and it
Okay.
was on a Sunday. I had my laptop, and we were at the end of option, and I did an amendment to extend option. And it, I guess, because I was in the country with very limited service, it literally sat in drafts. So option expired the next day, and we had repairs. Thankfully, the seller showed grace because it was an honest mistake, and I did communicate that I was, somewhere. I mean, I was literally in the middle of nowhere,
Mhm.
and but it could have went the other way.
Mm.
So I learned that to double check, just because I think something has been sent, now hindsight, if I was the agent on the other side, I feel like if I knew something was coming, I would have reached out and said, hey, it's Easter Sunday, because it was Easter Sunday. So I was it was Saturday. Easter Sunday was the last day. We expired at 5 on Easter Sunday.
Mhm.
I would have probably reached out and been like, hey, I haven't received it. I know you said you sent it and you were out. She didn't, but hindsight, it's all on me. I take ownership of it, but it could have really
Yeah.
been messy because it was a pretty big deal.
Mhm. Here's kind of good. I have a thought here. You're at your son's baseball game, or where were you at?
I was at my son's baseball tournament.
Tournament, and that was in the middle of nowhere.
It was
Yeah.
in Caddo Mills. It was,
And so you were having to send that email like while you're in the stands, kind of thing,
it
or
was in my car.
okay,
On
in
my
your car.
hotspot, on my phone.
Okay.
Because I
Okay.
know, so where it showed it went,
Yeah.
but I didn't go through and look at the sent. It literally was in my drafts. And with
Yeah.
the time I sent it on Saturday, it just, I guess the internet, maybe the hotspot kicked off or what.
And did it have to be sent that day at like 5 or whatever?
Yes,
it like-
they needed to sign it so we could extend.
Yeah.
And then the next day was Easter, so it was kind of a, because it fell on a holiday and a Saturday whammy.
Yeah.
But it all worked out. We're closing today.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Repairs were done.
Yeah,
Everybody's
yeah.
good. So, but it could have gone a whole nother way. So it's just check, double check, and communicate.
Yeah. Yeah. This wouldn't have worked in this situation, so this might be a bad piece of advice. And you're like, listen to this, and you're like, whatever, that's not realistic to me. But one thing that I will do, I've learned just about myself. When we were first starting 670 Homes, mind is racing 1,000,000 miles per hour just about your company. And then 5 o'clock hits and school's out and, got stuff, picking up kids, going to events. I'm trying to coach football. And I remember I'm sitting in, this is a moment. Yeah, like a very black and white for me. It was a moment I'm at football practice and I'm literally trying to answer a customer's pissed off construction client, right? I'm trying to answer their phone call while I'm in the middle of like football practice. And I'm like, hey guys, hold on, coach, you did this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, talking to them. I'm like, stress is starting to build and rise. And it's just like, what am I doing? And I literally like sat there, looked at my phone, looked at the kids, like felt my heart, felt my mind. I was like, what am I doing? Like, it was just such a clear moment for me of like, I'm never going to do this again. And I was like, I'm going to own my schedule and I'm just going to own it. And so I was like, hey, actually, I'm at my son's football practice. I should have told you this, 3 hours ago, whenever you're like, can you jump on a phone later? I would be like, no, I can't. Or yes, I can at this time only. And so owning, knowing whenever you have those time blocks to work and whenever you don't, and then giving yourself enough time to pre-schedule it out. And so in your situation, you could have gone to the agent and been like, hey, could we have until tomorrow? Because it's like due at 5, But sometimes you can. Sometimes you can say, hey, agent, I'm at my son's baseball game. Can you please give me until this day to do it? Sometimes they will, they might not. And then that's okay. Then now you are going to have to do it. But at least you tried, But in most scenarios, you can tell, if you communicate well, you can get extensions or you can plan out your day and own it where it's like you should make a vow, unless you have to. I will never work during this not because it's like you want to be present. That's good. You definitely want to be present to your son's stuff or your extracurricular, but really it's about mental space. You'll make more mistakes. You just won't be as present. You can't do two things at once. You can't, it's like you can't do it well. And so blocking off those moments where it's like, if you would like to talk tonight at 8 p.m., I will do that, because I will be at home, I will be clear, my brain will be free, I can think. But if I'm trying to do two things at once, I can't. And you are in control of that. And like, so whenever you hear, like, you have those like moments of like, oh my gosh, I'm racing up with this, I can't think of this, I'm making these mistakes, that's on you. You did that to yourself. Own it, own your schedule, and peel it back and just say, I refuse, I'm not doing that. And now the gym, again, a lot of grace, most of the time, sometimes you can't do that. But I would argue that a lot of times you can. A lot of times you can. And I don't know. If you communicate soon enough, you can usually own it a little bit better. So any thoughts there?
I had it happen 2 days ago where I was running and I saw the email come through and it was I'm on the list side, the buyer needed to extend. And, very easily could have just been like, not my problem. Like, your option period runs out at 5 o'clock and not mine. Like, we're good. And I knew I wouldn't be able to get it done by 5 because that's showing. So the first thing I did, I just texted the agent, so it was in writing. Hey, I received the amendment. I am not in a place where we're going to be able to get this signed by 5 o'clock, but just know we're in agreement and it will be there as soon as it can be. And he was like, okay, great, sounds good, no problems. And so, again, not everyone is going to be
cool with
it,
yeah.
But, because I did on the last one of my other deals, I literally had someone threatening to send me an amendment and a termination. And I'm like, if that's how you're doing business, then we don't want to do business with you anyways. And so, it doesn't always work to your point, but for normal people,
I do use an amendment and a termination, and I'll tell you why. Because that doesn't mean I'm going to function on the termination. It just means I'm protecting my client and giving space at the same time. So we're continuing to negotiate on the amendment and extend the option period, but I have to protect my client and be able to walk away if they choose to be difficult or to not generous or whatever it is. And I do look at it as, and I explain that to them too. It's like, we don't want to terminate, we want to stay in contract, but I have to protect my client in this situation because we aren't in agreement yet. And our time is run out.
Yeah.
We need to extend. And so that is a communication as well. But also what I've found is we all have to take on the mentality of we need to play in the sandbox together. And there are people that be in the sandbox and they have to get out. And then there are people that make it work, and I think having that mentality, that communication, all these things that we're talking about are all about working in it together because the tables are going to turn and you're going to need them to be good to you, just like you need to be good to them. So wherever you can extend grace and do it like in accordance with your client's motivations and intentions or whatever, I just think it's really important.
Well, and I just want to piggyback off of what you're saying about, playing nice in the sandbox. And I know this is probably old school, kind of more traditional thought processes, but like I just closed a transaction yesterday. I called the listing agent a couple of times. She would never return my phone call, only communicate by text and email. And I get that. Like from a legal standpoint, everything's in writing, emails or whatever. But I always feel like best foot forward for my clients. If this is a business about relationships, it's good for me to pick up the phone and be like, hey, I'm Tasha Kidd. How are you? It builds some rapport with that listing agent. So when something like these things go just a little bit, they tilt or something major comes up, I already sort of have rapport with that relationship or that agent. It's a lot easier for me to pick up and be like, hey, Sarah, this happened. I'm sorry, you're sorry. Like, how can we work through this? So sometimes I feel like, modern technology, that's great. We've got other ways to communicate, but sometimes I think just that voice phone call to, even a, hey, how's your day? How's the weather on that side of the metro? Whatever, just to build rapport can make a lot smoother transaction if something goes sideways.
I think too, what my personal experience over the last couple of months has been is that my responses have been in representation of a very unreasonable client. And it could have been misconstrued that that was my position. And I had to be very, very delicate in how I handled that because I didn't want to get sideways with that agent and cause more problems negotiating the contract. And so, and she understood by means of how I communicated without me saying, I've got a really pain in the like my ethics and my core values do not line up with this person. He was a sign call. I'm getting to know him, not liking it, need to get out of it big time. I can't say those things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm still looking out for him from a fiduciary responsibility. Man, you know, sometimes we are in that. You don't know for sure. And it's really hard for me not to place judgment out there and just go, it could be beyond their control. So I challenge myself as I challenge you guys to just have some grace and step back and just work with what's there and try not to pour gas on the fire. That was a huge lesson for me to speak. It's not getting in the weeds and taking the high road, making my words few, choosing to be wise, and just backing out as graciously as I could. Thank you. It was hard. All my pride was all up in it, but I was like not showing it.
Yeah. What's another one? What's another story?
Oh,
Failure, mistake, leads to win.
I have one.
Okay.
And I freaked out. Of course, I call Holly. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. I got a cash deal, got a contract, of course, like you said, out doing things. I think it was like Sutton's birthday. So I'm like trying to pick up stuff, got Bowen with me. And I'm like, oh, trying to negotiate. I think like 2 contracts in one day. I'm like, what term? Email it back and forth. We execute the contract like a day later goes by. And I'm like, oh my God. The closing date's for 10 days out and the option is for 10 days out. Holy cow. Like I am like sick at my stomach. So I'm like, okay, well, how do I do so I am the rip the Band-Aid off type of person. Like I don't wait to see if things go crazy. I'm just gonna tell you, hey, I messed up. So I called the listing agent Scott Cloud and I'm like, hey, or the buyer's agent, I'm like, hey, you didn't catch it. I didn't catch it. It certainly plays in your client's favor that she can basically back out at the closing table. But I said, hey, would you give me some grace since we negotiated this contract really fast? Talk to your seller that if we can agree upon repairs very quickly, that I can go ahead and put an end option in that amendment. And he was like, absolutely. I'll go give her a call because we had already done an inspection and we were basically just negotiating concessions. And so I was like, if you would do me that favor, that way we can keep everybody calm, keep the transaction going, and blah, blah, blah. Because my client was going to be like, well, she won't end option, I'm out, you know. And I mean, of course, you know, we tell everybody. And so it just really worked out being frank and honest and being like, hey, I messed up. Because I thought, worst case scenario, they'll call Brian and I'll be like, I told him I messed up. I admitted my mistake. So, but you know, it all worked out.
That's good.
We're all in a similar to this thing. I've left mineral addendum clause and had to renegotiate it back in under repair amendments.
Oh, yeah.
Just, I mean, there's stuff that it's just gonna happen.
I was freaking out last week. I thought I was going to lose my client's earnest money because of grounds of backing out because of a low appraisal. But luckily, under the VA provision, I was saved there. And I thought so too, but I was still freaking out anyways because I was getting some mixed signals from everybody. But all I had to do was call the agent. And she's like, oh, we'll never keep your earnest money. I'm like, oh my God, but still, that's not the point. The point is, you know the contract to the way. Yeah, but we got to search for that. We're moving on, but still, it was just something like that anxiety. Yeah.
What led to that mistake?
So, well, I guess the low appraisal, right? So we had a reconsideration of value and. You know, they said, oh, well, yeah, I'll be back to you in 48 hours, or it turned out it was about 5 or 6 days before they got back to us. And so we had an extended closing. We only extended it a couple of days. And then by the time the day before closing, they finally got back to us and they didn't come up at all in the appraisal. So what I should have done is kept on. I should have given myself about 5 or 7 more days to extend closing to actually get that appraisal reconsideration back versus kind of just waiting when it came back to us, you know, so I could have created that and not have to cause this. But,
Good lesson.
but yeah, it was a great lesson, but also on that, under paragraph 4, third party financing, VA provision, and admission provision. I know there's a 3-day period to where you're supposed to put in a termination in order to get your reduced money back, but I guess that's way under those considerations. So,
And
which I learned because Brian helped me out.
Yeah, which I didn't
Yeah.
know. When
Yeah. I was
Learned
like,
it, I was
yeah.
like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
some clarity came out with that.
Well, I feel like a lot of the contracts are very misleading sometimes in their words. So what we understand may not be what the other agent understands. And so-
You just need to say clarity.
Yes, you do, seriously.
my God.
Yeah,
I mean, I kind of love that.
Dad joke.
yeah.
How long have you been sitting on that?
Yeah.
How long have you been thinking about that? That is funny.
That's a good business.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real estate consulting, say clarity.
Say clarity.
There you go. I just realized a mistake I had, and Jana and Jen and Patty talked me off the ledge. It wasn't a huge ledge, but it was a little ledge. I usually dot every I and cross every T, but I didn't. I forgot to put the days to object in the commitment paragraph. So it was blank
Okay.
on an executed contract. Well, luckily, the title company sent the commitment like on day 2. I still had
Option period.
the option period, and the commitment was fine, nothing was a big deal, but like, had they not sent it during option and sent it after option and something showed up on the commitment that was alarming. So it all worked out in the end, but it's like, how could I have been so stupid to?
That, I would say that section is almost always, like, I feel like, no one fills that out.
It should be part of the template.
You should.
What do we object?
That should be in your template of when you do a zip forms or however you do your contracts, all of those blanks should be, the regular ones should be filled out. And it should be.
What's a good day, the number of days?
3 or 5 days.
I get it sent back to me.
We are right above that.
Do you in single family residence?
Okay, yeah, that's what I usually did too, until I like.
Yeah, it can be any objection. But also, like, I have people who
Leave it
actually,
at-
like, it, not like buying land, but if, say they're buying half an acre, and they're like, yeah, we really want this space so that we can have chickens.
A shed,
Yeah,
or build a
absolutely.
shop.
Or build a shop.
Yeah.
Well,
Shop is the biggest.
or whatever it is, if there is an objection in the deed somewhere, or the time, like, if it's in there, that gives you an out.
See a gas pipeline going through the land.
Yeah.
I mean, so then you gotta put the blank.
I would-
single family residence.
No, but I would put,
single
what I'm
family
saying is,
residence
like, I would put in.
You put, in a.
I know, or
We were
sometimes-
taught not to put that anymore.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
thought that was.
So don't put
The one
anywhere.
You should be putting, you shouldn't
No,
put residential use in that line.
Yeah.
It should be
I
blank.
put it in
This-
a.
What should be in that blank is like, put in a swimming pool,
Yeah.
have chickens,
Got it.
Yeah.
Why would you not put
Shop.
residential?
because it's
The
redundant.
family contract is.
It's redundant.
Like,
So even, so let's say like it came up and the house was zoned incorrectly, even if the current use is residential, it doesn't matter if that's in there or not.
That would be a non-conforming, usage. So.
So it
they-
would be
they
protected
yeah.
anyways.
You reject it.
No, well, you could object and you could cancel the contract. You could
Yeah.
back out at that point. That would be an objection, but then the seller would need to make it conforming with the city.
Right.
That's what.
Template is for is if your people are dying to put in a swimming pool and they don't know because you haven't seen the survey, you haven't seen anything, you don't, there's a pipeline, because you didn't call me and ask me for the pipeline map, which I have. But if you know, that should be like install swimming pools or have chicken coop or run
Right.
dog breeding
Yeah.
kennel, whatever.
Yeah.
That's what that blank is really for, is for specific uses, not general
Which I knew it
residential
was
use.
that, but I thought.
And then Jimmy just told me, because when I was taught not to put the single family resident anymore, for talking, I can't remember. They told me to put NA, but he just told me not to do that.
Don't put an A. 'cause
yeah,
it's-
put it, and then because they have saying.
it's
leave it
not
blank.
applicable.
Yeah.
They,
I know,
like the
right?
others. Yeah.
I'm like, was that an EXP? I don't know. Whoever-
Yeah, Keller Williams taught us to do that.
Probably,
It was
yeah.
a single family residence.
Yeah.
Don't do
And
that.
things have changed too. I mean, wording has changed in the
Yeah, 20
contracts.
years
and
ago, everybody did it.
Paragraphs have changed, so it's just, this is the new way that we would prefer.
Yeah.
That we're being told by attorneys that this is the best. It's 11 o'clock. You want to continue or are you done?
Well, yeah, the reason that we do these things, guys, is I always like to lean in pretty heavy to mistakes. Like whenever you lead out with humility, you're leading out with open hands. And so what I mean by that is like, I always like to lead out in abundance and lead out with like things that you've learned, and mistakes always lead to lessons. You can't have a mistake unless you have humility. And so you have to have humility in order to admit a mistake or confess, a sin, right? Like you have to, humility leads to mistake, which leads to a lesson, which leads to typically a win. Mistake is always an opportunity to grow. So at the worst case scenario, you're growing. And so I always like to kind of lean in. I think I like that path. This way for you guys. I like that path of humility always leads to wins. Like you can book into that. If you lead with humility, it always leads to wins. And so even humility to say, I'm too busy. That is humility. I'm too busy, or I did not know this. I did make a mistake. You leading with that humility typically is going to lead to a win. It may lead to a jerk saying, well, you're an idiot or whatever, and you got to do it by 5 p.m. anyways. Well, that's okay. We'll lead with humility, and now we've grown, and I don't really want to, whenever I work with this person again, I'm probably not going to give them the best shot, or whatever. But it'll lead to growth, or it typically leads to wins. That humility. So, yeah. Yeah.
Come over here. I can't hear you.
Oh, Ken, AJ.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look him up, Maria.
Oh my God. Humility.
I kind of got snappy, but then I remembered, darn it, I don't want to burn the bridge there because I don't know if a client would like another house that he's involved
Yeah.
in. So I stepped back, took a deep breath, and I said, you know what, Ken? AJ, I appreciate your feedback, and I will work on it. And then I just let him rant again.
That's
You know
it.
what? That's it. I am not going to not be able to work with someone because someone else is.
That's
So
it.
instead of 2 idiots, there's only one.
I know it's like an old book and everybody's probably already read it, but I'm reading the How to Win Friends and Influence
Oh,
People right now. And then I've also listened to a podcast yesterday, and this guy wrote a book, and it's basically about how to never win an argument again.
Oh yeah.
Jefferson Fisher.
Yes,
Yeah.
so
I'm all
it's,
over him.
and
He's
my-
got me through this.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so he was on Ed Milet's show, which I love Ed Milet, but it's just a really good reminder of leading with the humility and elevating other people, because that gets you a lot further when it comes to communication and relationships. So
Well, you guys just did that together. And that's what's cool. It led to win, led to a little bit of growth, and that's cool. We just did it together.
And you now have knowledge from where we've been.
Yeah,
That's what I love
that's
about this.
And Patty put up here, I want to call Patty out since she's on there. That paragraph we were talking about, be very specific. Chicken coop with 11 chickens or size of workshop and type of material. JC told me that once.
Wow.
And that objections, and that inspection point.
I guess if you want to do that, you have to put it in there.
Yeah. Hey, thank you all for coming. Thank you for eating breakfast with us this morning. Next week, we're here with, who was it? McKnight. Liz Negan's going to be here next Wednesday. Really appreciate you guys showing up on Wednesday morning. I think we all get better as agents. I think we all grow as a team. And I think that it's well worth our time to be here for an hour on Wednesday morning. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Danielle, I literally sent this week. Noted.
Oh, yeah.
Bye, Brian.
Are you gonna go
I
over
remember
that
it.
thing?
Yes, I will do that if y'all want to see that.
these agents lately, it has been grinding me up a wall, and I'm like, I know I feel a little bit of